Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my site softer?
Can I make my site firmer?
Can we sleep cooler?
Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side. Your Sleep Number setting. Enjoy personalized comfort for better sleep night after night. It's the final days of our Black Friday sale. Recharge this season with a bundle of cozy, soothing comfort. Now only $17.99 for our C2 mattress and base, plus free premium delivery. Prices higher in Alaska and Hawaii. Check it out at a Sleep Number store or sleepnumber.com today.
Everyone wants to be stronger, not just physically, but in every part of life. But between confusing workout advice, complicated equipment, and trying to figure out nutrition, where does anyone even start? Well, to get stronger mentally and physically, go to Anytime Fitness. You'll get a personalized training, nutrition, and recovery plan, all customized to your body, your strength level, and your goals. You'll get expert coaching to optimize your results, anytime, anywhere, in the gym, and on the Anytime Fitness app. And you'll get anytime access to 5,500 gyms worldwide, all with the right equipment to level up your strength gains and your life. So get started at AnytimeFitness.com. That's AnytimeFitness.com.
98.1 Game Day is on the air. Presented by Super Chevy and Yingling. Your local Super Chevy dealers and Yingling Flight. It's time to talk LSU football on the flagship home of the Tigers. Call 225-499-9898. It's Eagle 98.1 Game Day. Now, live from the Raisin Cane studio, here's Charles Hannegriff and Richard Dixon.
The Tigers fall 17-13 in Norman, Oklahoma, and finish the regular season 7-5, 3-5 in Southeastern Conference play. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Eagle 98.1 Game Day. I'm Charles Hannegriff, along with former Tiger Richard Dixon. The game and, of course, the Lane Kiffin saga played out today. Some of it like we thought, some of it maybe not like we thought. For the game, we thought that this would be a defensive struggle, and we were correct with that one. We thought, Richard, in the pregame when we talked about this, that LSU's defense would keep them in this game well into the second half, and that at some point they would probably wear down and Oklahoma would get a late score. It wasn't so much wearing down as they had a couple of breakdowns on some specific plays that allowed Oklahoma to make a couple of big plays that ended up being the difference in the ballgame. LSU's defense did what they could today, despite those couple of breakdowns. They played certainly well enough to win. LSU's offense, once again, did not. How many touchdowns you up to outside of Southeastern?
Outside of 16,
16, yeah. With one today, and just not a very frustrating offense to watch. One that really can't run the football all that well. They were below 3 yards again today. One who I will refer to this. You know, when I got to go back and I got to think about seasons, I come up with little mnemonic devices to what will remind me. I will forever think of this as the sideways offense because that's all they have done for the back half of the season is go sideways. If the sidelines were the goal line, this would be the most prolific offense in the history of football. But the constant sideways, the fear of putting the ball down the field was just so incredibly frustrating to watch over the back end of this season. And certainly today. LSU got a deflected interception early in the game by Harold Perkins, and he got all the way down to the 4-yard line before he was pushed out of bounds. I thought, Richard, the same thing you did when that happened, which was he really needed to score there. Given LSU's...
He cost us the game by not scoring.
Absolutely anemic, and I don't know if anemic is a good enough word to use, a strong enough word to use, a performance in the red zone all season. And sure enough, LSU turned the ball over on the very next play when Michael Van Buren, who had a very rough day, gave it right back. It felt like points were going to be at a premium all day, and they were. LSU missed a golden opportunity right there to get a rare touchdown to put them up early in the game. Couple of field goals the rest of the first half. But LSU's defense would keep them in it. Their second interception, this one by A.J. Halsey, set them up at the Oklahoma 33-yard line, and this time they cashed in on a short pass from Van Buren to Xavion Thomas. It was set up by a 23-yard run by Michael Van Buren down to the Oklahoma 1-yard line. The next drive for Oklahoma got all the way down to the LSU 28 before the Tigers picked off Mateer for a third time. This time, very good coverage by DJ Pickett, and they were able to get to the midway part of the third quarter feeling like they still had a good chance to win this ball game. But from that point on, the midway point of the third quarter, LSU would only make 4 more first downs. That is 22 minutes of football that were left in the game for 4 first downs. That produced another field goal. Now, here's the other part. Oklahoma, from that point on, only ran 16 more plays. 16 more plays. 14 of those plays accounted for 36 total yards. They made 1 more first down that did not result in a touchdown. But the wide receiver screen to Deion Burks went for 45 yards and a touchdown, and the 58-yarder to Isaiah Satanga, who everybody was notified today had 2 parents who were athletes at LSU, but is on the team in Oklahoma for some reason. Then this was a bust in the LSU secondary when they finally gave in. It was a bust in the back end of the coverage. Satanga was wide open, and that ends up being the difference in the ball game.
Look, I'm kind of being exaggerating, but if I'm that defense, I give up on that offense too. Like you do everything you possibly can. You put them in the best situations. You get 4th and 1 stops, 3rd and short stops, turnovers, put them in the short side of the field, and this offense is absolutely embarrassing. Like, it's embarrassing. I could watch 10 high school offensive coordinators call a better game than this right now. It is embarrassing to watch.
The sideways offense. That's all I can tell you. It is the sideways offense, and it produced 13 points today, and LSU ends up on the short end of that. Now, I know what a lot of you are thinking out there while you're listening to this. I don't care about the game. Tell me where Lane Kiffin is, okay? And right this second, I don't know where Lane Kiffin is, but I know what he's doing. And that is he's doing the same thing that we're doing. Well, he's not doing a radio show, but he is watching the Iron Bowl. After his meeting with Keith Carter, Lane Kiffin, as we had this at the beginning of the day, that they were going to want to do this. Nick Saban said it on game day. Yeah. They should let Lane Kiffin coach the SEC championship game if Ole Miss is in it. Not the playoff, but they should let him coach the SEC championship game if Ole Miss makes it for the first time. This was set up by Texas A&M's upset loss to Texas last night. And if Auburn wins this game, and right now they are behind 10-0, we are early in the second quarter, then Ole Miss will go to the SEC championship game. I would think that Ole Miss, if they have gotten this far into it, and we're sitting here at 7:45, that Keith Carter must have at least said, let's watch the game and see what happened. They have given in on that point. Again, our information, and this does not include the playoff, which Ole Miss is in, but it does include the SEC championship game, which Ole Miss could win. They were right there with Georgia in Athens, lost the game by 1 touchdown. And what would that do if they come back at this point and win this game and Ole Miss is in the SEC championship game? Well, is Lane Kiffin going to be on the sideline? Right now, that's about the best guess that we have. Is he still where we were 8 hours ago, which is, yes, there is an agreement to come and be the LSU coach as long as things don't go sideways, and I've had to say that 100 times, but it's still Lane Kiffin. It's still not done. It's not done till it's done. We've said this a million times. Has he agreed? Yes, our information is that he has agreed. He is ready to come and coach this team as soon as he is done there. When he is done there is still up for some debate.
How long do you allow them to move the field goal post?
Well, that's the real question.
Because for me, okay, Ole Miss is weak in this point, and I understand it because it's the best thing that's ever happened to Ole Miss football. They got the most attention, the most hype, the most publicity, the best record on staff. They're going things. But, Ole Miss set the deadline last week. We're having a meeting Friday.
Saturday. The goalposts were moved.
Yeah. We're gonna talk about it the next game. They played 36 hours ago. The goalposts have obviously been moved again. Okay, so, and I get that from Ole Miss's standpoint. Look, they're trying to bully, trying to figure it out. If I'm LSU, is which point do you stop allowing the goalpost to be moved? Because for me, I'm all in. Last week, okay, we're good. He wants to move it till after the Egg Bowl. Okay, we're good. want to talk about the SEC championship. At some point, you got to put your foot down.
You wonder if LSU will put their foot down and if Ole Miss will put their foot down. Because the other thing that has really happened here in the last 24 hours is it appears that because of some conditions that are attached to the Auburn job, that John Summerall from Tulane now prefers the Florida job. But would he prefer the Ole Miss job if that one came open?
Or the LSU job?
Well, okay. So one of them opens, one of them doesn't. Okay, Kiffin's got to coach somewhere. I'm not going to the Giants, I don't think. And Summerall, who has spent time in Oxford, who has been there before, could take that job. I know what you're thinking. The Ole Miss job over the Florida job. Think about it this way. You win 8 or 9 games a year at Ole Miss, you probably keep the job. You win that at Florida, maybe, maybe not. You win that at Auburn, you're definitely getting fired. Yeah. So if Ole Miss wants to get on with their lives and at least have a shot at Summerall, if they want him, then they've got a deadline too. This would all be a lot easier if, well, I got to hold my nose when I say this, if Alabama just wins this game that they are leading by 10 points right now. If they win this game and it's Alabama against Georgia in the SEC championship game, then there are no more restrictions. There are no more hurdles to clear. Tomorrow morning or late tonight, if you prefer, Kiffin can make his statement, move on. Ole Miss will have Joe Judge coach them in the playoff, and everybody can get on with their lives. But if Auburn wins this game, I don't know.
But why do you think that? Ole Miss set the deadline last week. They changed them. They set the deadline this week. They changed them.
I'm going to give you one more out here, which is that A&M lost. They didn't figure that they were going to have a shot at the SEC championship game. This is one more game. As aggravated as you are right now, as frustrated as the fan base is right now, I've talked to plenty of them in the last or seen from plenty of them. It's 3 more hours. It's one more football game. You've come this far, or are you going to do it? Now, if he coaches in the SEC championship game, is that a deal breaker for LSU? I don't know. I don't think so, as long as you make some kind of announcement that, hey, I'm going to coach next Saturday, and then I'll be in Baton Rouge.
It has to be announced.
Yes, I agree. You can't just let this linger out there.
You can't say we're all going to sit around and wait until next week, till next Sunday to see what happens. At that point, LSU has to be out.
Because then if you're going to change your mind again or change your mind the first time, then LSU's got to find a coach.
Yeah, I already don't feel like, for me, I don't put it past Ole Miss to let him, all right, let's coach the SEC championship game. I really want to coach the playoffs too.
Right.
All right. We'll let you do that too. Like, I don't see that ending. Ole Miss is Ole Miss has never had anything like this in their life. So yeah, they're trying to play. They tried to play hardball last week, didn't work. They tried to play hardball today, hasn't worked.
They can't fire him.
They can't fire him. So
it's $36 million to fire him.
Let's let him say, you can coach the SEC championship. I don't think it ends there either. Like, to me, like, that's where I'm saying.
Your patience is done.
I'm done with it. Like, so LSU, for me, like, tomorrow, LSU has to make an announcement. He's coming to LSU, or we're looking elsewhere. Like, that's where I'm at, because you can't drag on another week, because when's early signing day? Is it next
Wednesday?
Wednesday. Okay, thank you. So we're going to drag it on past to the SEC championship without an announcement made tomorrow. You have to do it. Look elsewhere.
Much as it pains me to say, Alabama may bail everybody out on this thing. They're controlling this game so far.
Roll Tide right
They've got
it.
it. You did not say that
on
my radio station.
I just want it over.
I understand that part. They are controlling this game right now. They've got a 10-point lead. They've got the ball in Auburn territory. We've seen some strange stuff happen in the Iron Bowl. But at least for the moment, a couple of minutes into the second quarter, Alabama has been much the better through the first 17 minutes of this game. 499-9898 is the number to call on the Hooters hotline. We'll take your phone calls. Oklahoma wins it 17-13. This is Eagle 98.1 Game Day. Eagle 98.1 Game Day continues. Oklahoma wins it by a score of 17-13. Alabama has just punched it in again to make it 16-0 with the conversion to come. in the early stages of the second quarter. The significance of the game, of course, is that if Alabama wins, they will be in the SEC championship game against Georgia, and more importantly, Ole Miss will not be.
So we'll get an answer by halftime. So we can get an answer by halftime.
I don't know how many points do they have to be up to, to decide that they're too many to come back. 499-9898 is the number to call and make the extra point. It is going to be 17-0 Alabama. 11:28 to go in the second quarter, and the extra point is good. Hooters Hotline is open right now. Let's go to Jules in New Mexico. Jules, welcome into the show.
Hey, how you guys doing?
Good.
Hey, look, man, it's 2025, and Oklahoma is probably going to make the 12-team playoff. And they almost lost to a team that their quarterback was 1 of 400 in 3 quarters for 8 yards. And then your LSU and your quarterback is 1 of 400 for 8 yards in 3 quarters. Make it make sense. But I'll leave you with this. Next year, if you got to pick between Chris Hilton or Flajay Johnson, that wide receiver, who are you taking? Go Tigers.
Well, you got to tell me who's throwing the ball.
Yeah. Oklahoma didn't look like a playoff team today at all. They're gonna make it, but what they did today, they played extremely poorly on offense. Mateer had a really rough day. Give LSU's defense a lot of credit. I thought they played their behinds off today. But no, Oklahoma did not look like a playoff team. Thing is, they did in the last 3 weeks. They went to Tennessee and won. They went to Alabama and won, and they beat Missouri. All of those teams were ranked at the time. They also have a win against the 9-3 Michigan team. There's some stuff on the resume that looks pretty good. Today, they didn't look like a playoff team at all. The idea, if you just watch football today, okay, and we had the games on side by side, Vandy and Tennessee and LSU and Oklahoma. Vandy at 10-2 might get left out of the playoff, and Oklahoma at 10-2 is going to get in. And if you watch those 2 games today, you were like, give me Vandy all day and all night. But I understand the argument there. Today was not Oklahoma's best game. It wasn't one of their best 5 games of the year. They didn't look like a playoff team at all.
If you're staying within 1 score of an offense like LSU right now, you don't deserve to make the playoffs. That's how I feel about it. I mean, it's such a weird year. I don't feel like anybody's dominant in the SEC. I don't feel like anybody's really, really good.
I think there's a lot of good teams. I don't think there's a great team.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think anybody's really, really good. Like, I mean, I think we got a bunch of average teams in the SEC right now. I mean, or everybody's average and you beat up on people. But every game I watch, like LSU is pathetic on offense. And I've watched this defense, who I think is really good. I don't think the defense is actually great. I think they're really good. But, man, watching that game today and trying to think that Oklahoma's a playoff team was tough for me.
Georgia, Ole Miss, Oklahoma, Alabama, Vandy. Those are the 5 teams that are most likely to make the playoffs. I don't think Texas is getting in despite Sarkisian's pleadings yesterday. You can't lose to what is going to be a 4-8 they won today, Florida team, and get into play. Not if you lose 2 other games. No. If you lose that game, that's bad enough. But if it's your only loss, maybe you get that as a mulligan. You can't lose that one in 2 other games. So
the 2 best teams in the SEC to me are Georgia, Ole Miss. I watched Alabama play enough times to where LSU kept that game close, and I know how bad LSU is. I think Alabama's average. It's hard for me to say who is just dominating in the SEC right now.
Of those 5 teams, Oklahoma would be last. Yeah. And unfortunately for Vandy, that's not where it is right now. 499-9898. Jason is in Gonzales on the Hooters hotline. Jason, welcome in the show.
Hey, guys. First off, I want to give a shout-out to Trades Green. This week, he FaceTimed my son. Doing something he didn't have to do. He was at doing a St. Vincent de Paul, giving out to the homeless. Know some people. He FaceTimed my son. Shout out to him. Great dude. Second off, defense played great. You got to keep Pickett. You got to get Keys. You got to get McKinley, Bro, Woodland, Spears. There's so many defensively you have to retain. Offensively, you got to get Parker. There's so many that you have to retain with this next staff. I'm going to hang up and listen to what you got to say. Thank you. Go Tigers.
I think that there's going to be a significant amount of turnover on this roster, regardless of who, and we still think it's Lane Kiffin. Well, I do anyway. I'm gonna hold on to that for another 24 hours or whatever, and see what happens. Especially if this game continues the way it is with Alabama with a 3-score lead now. I think that there's going to be significant turnover on the coaching staff and significant turnover, especially the offensive staff, and there's going to be significant turnover on the roster. There are some kids there that I would obviously love to keep. Trey'Dez Green, and kudos to him for reaching out to your son. I think that's wonderful. You saw what is the best of Trey'Dez Green and the frustrating part of Trey'Dez Green. He made a terrific catch. We did this back in the Clemson game, and I want to say the Florida game, right? Where they explode to the star out of the formation, and they get a one-on-one, and he makes a very nice contested catch for a big gain. He also dropped a pass that would have gone for a very nice gain, and you see the potential there, and it just needs to be refined. I definitely want him back, but there's some frustrating parts of his game too.
Yeah, I mean, look, when you start changing quarterbacks, there's nothing harder as a receiver. The ball comes out of everybody's hand different. And who knows Van Buren? I don't remember Trey'Dez dropping any Nussmeier's passes. A lot of drops, or very easy drops. Where the drops
the Alabama game, that was
Michael Van Buren.
Van Buren.
So when I've seen the drops when you change the quarterbacks, and I get that just because from a different spin on the ball, the nose moves different. The nose is down, nose is up, nose is tail to the right, tail to the left. Just how it comes out of his hands. And it takes a little bit of time to get used to that. So when we switch quarterbacks, I feel like we've seen more drops, which is understandable. You get it. But he's got so much potential. I don't think he scratched the surface. That guy's going to be freaking special.
There's a lot of work that needs to be done there. He's not.
He needs some consistency. Like he needs to have the same group of guys around him, put in an off season, and it could be.
When did you start playing football? Contact football. How old were you?
Old.
Okay, he didn't.
No.
He played a lot of basketball. Okay, so he is still in the beginning part of his development, even though he is through his second year of college.
I give basketball 100% credit to my pass catching abilities. I didn't play school. I played in 7th grade, didn't play in 8th or 9th, and I played varsity basketball from there on out. And I was a defensive player and a running back until I started playing basketball. Basketball teaches you a lot about moving your hands. But where he just has to learn, as far as he needs the mental side of it, recognizing where the safeties are, where your leverage is, where you're leaning, where you're trying to go, and what you want to make the defender think you're doing. Like he just has some of those things that he cleans up.
The football IQ, like I said, he's not been a full-time football player since the age of 8, okay? And I love the basketball aspect of it, not just the hands, but your footwork too.
Your footwork, your body position.
There's all kinds of things that you can pull from that. He needs some more time. Lee is in Hammond. Lee, welcome into the show.
Hello, guys. How you doing? Long-time listener.
Thank you, Lee.
I was calling to speak about the quarterback situation. Van, I remember him. I remember when I saw them take Nussmeier out, when Van came in, I didn't know who he was at first. And I said, okay, we got another quarterback. And then when he said it from Mississippi State, I said, okay, no, we don't have a quarterback. Because I saw him sometimes when he was at Mississippi State. But my problem is, who are we going to have for next year as a quarterback? Because we definitely need one. And also, I want to ask you another thing. Where's Hilton Jr.? I haven't seen him any time this year.
Where's who?
Hilton Jr.?
Not been.
Yeah. We haven't seen very much of him either.
Okay, that's all I wanted to say.
No, he's still on the team. We just haven't seen very much of him. We thought
Van Buren did some good things in the Arkansas game.
The Arkansas game was his best game by far,
and I feel like I don't know. It's the game plan around him. What they've done the past 2 weeks has made it struggle. I haven't liked the game plan. He hasn't helped either. He's made some really bad throws, bad decisions. The interception on the first drive tonight, if he runs towards the pylon, he probably gets in. But, yeah, I don't think – it's hard for me to say because I've seen Van Buren do really good things, but I've also seen Nussmeier do really good things, and I've watched this offensive staff make really bad decisions.
This offense is hideous.
Yeah.
Okay,
I can't blame anything on the quarterback.
He has not played particularly well, but last year for Mississippi State, we're talking about a guy who threw for 306 yards in Athens against a top 5 Georgia team. He threw for over 300 yards against Arkansas. He threw for nearly 300 yards at Ole Miss, and Ole Miss was in the top 15 last year when they did that, and that was the Ole Miss defense.
He had a big game against Texas too, didn't
he? He he had 144 yards against Texas. That wasn't one of the big ones.
Well, he had 96 tonight.
He had 3 touchdown passes against Texas A&M.
Okay.
Last year. That might be the one you're thinking about. And that Ole Miss defense last year was, would they have 6 guys drafted off that team?
Very good.
So he's done, and we thought he played reasonably well against Arkansas. This offense might challenge Patrick Mahomes because all you do is you throw the ball sideways and you've got no offensive line and you can't run the ball at all. If you asked me what I think of Van Buren going into next year, just from the last day of this season, he, to me, would be a backup quarterback in this league, maybe a starting quarterback in a non-Power 5 league. But he's had 2 years where he's played a significant amount of football, and I've seen guys get a lot better from year 2 to year 3. I think he's got some skills. Would I count on him to be my starting quarterback next year? Absolutely not. No way. Do I want to see him come back, work all summer, maybe get better? I don't know who's coming in. They're going to have to get in the transfer portal. They do not have a quarterback committed. So I think the most likely scenario is that next year's starting quarterback is not on this current roster. I'm not ready to give up on Van Buren, but the last 2 games have been rough to watch.
Yeah, but I think if you take all your previous history with Nussmeier out and you watch this season, you're saying the same thing. He's not my quarterback next year. That's just what this offense provided us this year.
I don't want to watch this offense anymore. I just no mas. We'll take a break. 499-9898 is the number to call. Oklahoma wins at 17-13. Eagle 98.1 Game Day. Eagle 98.1 Game Day continues. 17-0 Alabama leading Auburn. Tides dominated this game, although there's a little bit of life on this drive for Auburn. Alabama, prior to this, had out first down them 9-1 and outgained them 153-37. Auburn's put together a little bit of a drive here. Again, we're waiting to hear something out of Oxford that they met this afternoon, and then he talked to, is my understanding, he talked to the team.
Yeah,
and we still think that he's on his way, but there is the matter of if Auburn would come from behind and win this ball game, and would that change things?
I feel like the amount of talk we've heard, and I was about to say until I see it go across the ticker screen on this game, I'm not going to believe it, and then I stopped myself because I saw when Tom Herman was going to be the coach across the screen. So until you see him wearing an LSU jacket or shirt or purple colors or something, I don't know what's going to happen.
All right, Auburn. So they're still watching this game. 5 minutes to go, a little over 5 minutes to go in the first half, and Alabama leading it 17-0. 499-9898 is the number on the Hooters hotline. Philip is in Lake Charles. Philip, welcome into the show.
Hey guys, how are y'all?
Good.
Yeah, so on LSU's first defensive interception, you mean to tell me Perkins can't make a move on the quarterback to score right there? I don't know. He kind of runs out of bounds. And then at the end of the game, the play call where everybody's bunched up and we're not going to run right there, and we do a play action, and then we're going to pass it to Bauer Sharp. I don't like that option, but I'd just like to know what you guys think. Appreciate it.
You must have been listening to our conversation before we got on the air. I think Perkins is a step slower than he was before the injury. Yeah. It doesn't mean that he's slow. I just think he had elite level speed before that injury.
He was considered a 4.3 guy.
He was as fast a closing a linebacker as I had seen in the college game. And he no longer has that type of speed, at least not. There was another play where Mateer outran him to the sideline earlier in this game. There's been some other plays. I still think he's fast. I just don't think he has that elite upper-level speed right now. Will he ever get it back? I don't know. But that's what I've seen since the injury, is he's not quite as fast as he was.
No, he's definitely not. I mean, that's a play where he had every angle, beat everybody. He had one guy to beat and got outran. And like I texted you, I said, that was our chance to score. I don't know if we're going to score again.
Well, yeah, because they threw it, right to the play that ended up being the interception for Van Buren. He's late on the throw and he's short on the throw, but he could have run it in.
He had the angle.
But did you think that that Sharp was open enough to get in the ball if he throws it a little? No. Okay.
I never thought he was open. I thought he should have taken a run and hit the angle.
Thomas is in Baton Rouge on the Hooters hotline. Thomas, welcome into the show.
Yeah, can you explain why is LSU considered a much better job than Florida?
Well, they've been to 3 national championships since the last time Florida's been.
Well, Florida's won 2 national championships in this century.
08 was the last one they won.
Oh, they won 06 and 08.
We lost in 11, won in 19, won in 20. So we've been twice since then?
You've been to 3 and you've won 2 of them. Yeah. Okay. Well, one of them was actually in between the two Floridas. I think the biggest thing with the
Florida job is when Florida was hot, when Urban Meyer was rolling, Miami was terrible, Florida State was terrible.
I think you can win at either place, okay? I think you can win a national championship at either place still. I don't think that Florida's financial commitment to roster is as great as LSU's is right now. That's and their facilities have caught up, but LSU has been outpacing them in facilities for probably the last 10 to 15 years as well. You've had 2 elite coaches there in the last 35 years, Urban Meyer and Steve Spurrier. But you've had a lot of coaches flame out there. Dan Mullen was a pretty good coach at Mississippi State, didn't work there. Billy Napier was a pretty good coach at ULF, yet didn't work there.
Dan Mullen wasn't that bad at Florida, though. I mean, he didn't recruit to the level they wanted to, but he was like 34-11 or whatever it was.
Will Muschamp, Jim McElwain. I mean, Ron Zook. You've gone through a lot of guys over there. But if you're asking me right now, today, what the difference between the LSU job and the Florida job is, I would tell you financial commitment to the roster right now. But I think you can win at either place. I don't think there is a gigantic gap between the two. And this is different for me because for a long time I thought Florida was at the very least a top 3 job in the country. And I still think it's a really, really, really good job. But it may not be quite the in this NIL era, I don't know that it's quite at the top of the financial resources that you're going to get at some other places.
Yeah, I thought Florida was dominant when Miami was terrible. They weren't winning. After they kind of came down from their high horse, when Florida State wasn't, they were okay. I mean, Florida, Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, the hotbed of recruiting that it is, Florida's tough to recruit when Miami's good and Florida State's really good.
But in the 90s, all 3 of those teams were good.
Okay.
Miami had a little bit of a gap when they had the probation problem in the mid-90s. But for most of the 90s, Florida State and Florida were both top 5 teams.
Okay.
And Miami was probably for half of the 90s. The very beginning of the 90s, that team that lost to Alabama in 92, and then by the end of the decade when Butch Davis was there and he got the recruiting back going and they went through that probationary period and, Sports Illustrated was saying they should shut down Miami football. They went through a gap, but they got it back.
Yeah.
And they didn't really start to fall off until you guys beat the stew out of them in the Peach Bowl, and then the program fell off after that. But
when I think of my Florida history, it's more I haven't been watching it like you did. I think of Florida from the time frame when I was playing, and Florida was the team. I was, in my 4 years of college football, Florida won the national championship twice, and they were stacked.
You got the Urban Meyer years.
I got the Urban Meyer years, the Tim Tebow years, and those teams were absolutely stacked with first-round draft picks.
The McElwain years, the Muschamp years, the Zook years, not nearly as good. The Mullen years, not nearly as good. Let's see where we at. Thomas is in Baton Rouge. Thomas, welcome into the show. Nope. Clark is in Baton Rouge. Clark, welcome into the show.
Hey, Charlie. First of all, I'd like to say that Tommy Banks deserved more carries today. But
Absolutely.
also, Brian Kelly, like, can we talk about how trash of a job he did this year? Because he left this team out for, just he ruined this team. This was a great defense that he just trashed, and the offense deserved better. I just think Brian Kelly, these coaches, they make a lot of money now. Like I can go back to Nick Saban. When Nick Saban was making $1 million a year and people thought that was absurd, Brian Kelly's making over $10 million a year, and we're going to pay him $50 million to walk away. Like that, what he did to this team is, it's a joke.
All right, let's talk about Brian Kelly here for a second. And this is probably not going to be terribly popular when I say this, but when they fired Brian Kelly, they'd had one really bad game. In fact, it had one really bad half.
Yeah.
Okay, that was against Texas A&M in the second half. It was embarrassing. They quit. They got blown out. They had the lead at the half of that game. The other two games that they've lost, they lost by 5 points in Oxford to a team that is in the playoffs, and they lost by 7 points in Nashville to a team that probably should be in the playoffs if they're not. Okay, so were we aggravated? Yes. Did we get the best of Brian Kelly? No. But to say it was an absolute disaster, I don't know if that's accurate. And like I said, I understand that's not very popular. Now, since then, it's been pretty bad. Today was frustrating. The offense against Western Kentucky, even though they won the game, was frustrating. The offense against Alabama was frustrating. But an absolute disaster? And I understand he's the least popular guy in the entire city right now.
I think Brian Kelly doesn't get fired. He finishes the season 8-4.
Okay,
and I think Brian Kelly and Joe Sloan, they win this game today. The defense. That's why I'll go back. I think the defense has played the best all year long since Alabama. They played really well. I don't know if that's what Blake Baker, the changes he wanted in practice, the style of stuff he wanted to do in practice, the stuff he was allowed to do since Brian Kelly left. But the defense has played freaking lights out, especially the last 3 games. And the last 2 games has been worse than anything imaginable offensively than what we witnessed all year long. So I really don't know. Brian Kelly, I had this conversation earlier today. And look, yes, he crapped the bed, did not do his job. But I also think when I'm looking back on his tenure, I think he falls into one of the older coaches who doesn't know how to handle this NIL era. He's a guy that was about building a team through high school. He said this a million times. We keep going to the transfer portal. I think he quit on himself. I think once he realized it was an era that he didn't fit in, didn't belong in, he kind of just checked out.
I will wonder forever where the talent development broke down. You and I sat at this desk 11 months ago and broke down film of everybody that came in the transfer portal. None of these guys came in here without some pretty serious credentials. There were a couple of guys that you were kind of projecting out, but most of them had very solid resumes. Everybody on that offensive line that was recruited by power conference teams. They didn't beat out Southeastern for –
probably one of the most highest recruited offensive lines LSU's had in 20 years.
And none of that developed. I've got people telling me this is the worst portal class ever. Well, why was that? I don't have a great answer for that because they didn't come here with no credentials. They came here with pretty significant resumes for the most part. And some of them, obviously guys like Delane, and Halsey have panned out, and some of them haven't. The lack of development was the biggest surprise to me. You said, well, he's not handling this era very well. He wouldn't have handled any era well with the work that he was putting in. But he didn't have a disastrous record. He was 34-14. This is not Curly Hallman we're talking about. He was 19-10 in the Southeastern Conference. In any other era, this is really not a fireable record.
Yeah, no,
it's a disappointing record. But to say, well, he just absolutely demolished the program and everybody's got to go, I don't buy it.
No,
I would tell you that he made some very, very, very bad hires on his staff. Every single year he made bad hires. There were guys that just did not develop the players that they had. But I can't sit here and tell you, well, there's no talent on that team or there's not enough talent to win on that team or that his record was an absolute disaster. Again, I know the guy is the least popular person in the state right now. If Lane Kiffin doesn't get on a plane here pretty soon, he's going to catch him. But I can't say that.
It goes to a game planning standpoint for me. Look, I told you when I go to the game, I went to the Arkansas game, and I talked to some guys whose kids play on the team, and they had to explain to their kids what 9-on-7 was.
Yeah.
That was shocking to me, that there was kids on this team for 3 years that didn't know what a 9-on-7 period was.
There's criticism to be made for the staffing. There's criticism to be made for practice schedules and things like that. And there's certainly criticism to be made for the lack of effort that he put in. I'm not arguing any of those points. But this is not bottom of the barrel.
No.
I mean, it's really not from a talent standpoint. They were just very poorly coached in a lot of areas. And the most obvious of those is the offensive line.
Where Brian Kelly has missed, we go back to year one, pretty solid. And what was Matt? Was it Matt? Who was the defense coordinator first year? Matt
House.
Matt House. They were like in the 40s or 50s. They weren't like absolutely dog trash. We had a good offense. Special teams killed us in 3 games. We got rid of that staff. Next year, we go in. Special teams is pretty good. Offense is outstanding. The defense plays the worst they've ever had. So the next year, you go back in. Defense plays back in the 40s. Offense is bad, whatever. It's just he hasn't put all 3 phases of the game together.
You got to want this really bad. This is a hard job.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like the ocean. You can't turn your back on it, man. You got to be there every minute of every day that you can possibly keep your eyes open and stay focused. It's not something that you can just rely on everything that you've learned in the past and put it on cruise control. Everybody is trying to beat you every day.
I think I said it in one of the post games, previous this year. We, as much as we could, complain or whatever about anything, we would go to walk-ons on a Wednesday night and have dinner, 10, 12 guys, drink beer, hang out, and head home at 11:30 o'clock, 11:30, 12. Most of us lived off Brightside. And we had to drive past the football ops and see all of our coaches still there. So we always knew how hard they were working. I mean, they busted, even when things were bad. No, wait, when we had a terrible defense with, Mallory and Pivito, they still busted their ass. I mean, we would drive there, and these coaches slept there at night. We'd get there in the morning. They all had cots in their rooms. We knew how hard they worked. And I think that, which it's easy to talk bad now that everything's done, but all you're hearing about now is how coaches were not there, and they left early.
Well, the one coach.
Yeah, one coach.
The one coach. 499-9898 is the number to call. Still 17-3. Alabama leads it. Minute and a half to go to the break at Jordan-Hare. This is Eagle 98.1 Game Day. Eagle 98.1 Game Day continues. Oklahoma wins it 17-13. Let me share with you a piece that was posted just here not terribly long ago from Ross Dellinger, who we know very well from his time here in Baton Rouge, now with Yahoo Sports. The meeting between Lane Kiffin and Keith Carter, and also included the chancellor at Ole Miss, Glenn Boyce, lasted over 3 hours. It was at the home of the chancellor, and it broke up a little bit before 7 o'clock tonight. The university has not released a statement. They're not returning messages. The snag, again, appears to be that Kiffin would like to coach his team in the postseason. LSU officials that Dellinger talked to remain confident, as they have for over a week, that the Ole Miss coach will move to Baton Rouge. Quote, says one source with knowledge of the Kiffin and LSU negotiations, if he doesn't come, we've been duped. So they still think they got him. But nothing public yet. And some of these other, coaching dominoes are starting to fall. John Sumrall, and they were winning last time I looked. You've got him that is up for several of these jobs. You got Alex Golich who is in talks with Arkansas. There was a report out of Arkansas that he was going to take that job. He has not done that yet. But this meeting that took, almost 4 hours, just ended about an hour and a half ago. So I think we're still in the same spot. This is excellent reporting by Dellinger, by the way. And the players meeting, I don't know that happened. Yeah. Doesn't appear. Maybe he has talked to some of the players, but that doesn't appear like we've got that. Meantime, they're going to the half, 17-6 now. Alabama leading Auburn at the Iron Bowl. 499-9898 is the number to call. Andy is in New Orleans on the Hooters hotline. Andy, welcome into the show.
Hey, thanks a lot. You talked about talent development. Before the season, this was the highest rated transfer portal class we've ever had. What happened? One. And then two, besides quarterback, who else do we have to bring in next year?
I don't think that there is a position on the team that they can't use help. There's no position, and this is pre the guys going out, whoever's going to leave. I don't think that there's a single position that they can't use some help at. As far as why the transfer portal class didn't pan out.
Let's talk about who it didn't pan out for, because Pyburn's played really well. I think Peyton's played really well. Goodwin's played pretty well. Halsey's played well.
Hang on. They've been good against the run. They have not produced the kind of pass rush you were hoping for. I think Gooden started out really good. He's a smaller defensive tackle. I thought he was good today. Yeah. I thought he got beat up a little bit in the middle part of the season, was hurt a little bit.
I think that goes back to his size. We talked about that earlier on.
We did. You didn't want him to have to start and play 50 snaps a game because he was going to get beat up.
Which, to me, either Bro or McKinley kind of backed off, because those are the two guys you wanted to carry the brunt, put him in. But I still think, I'm not calling that a failure. I'm not saying those guys failed. You want to talk about what didn't work? Nick Anderson, Barry and Brown was okay, but I think it goes down to Barry and Moore, center.
Braylon Moore,
very well. I think Thompson, pretty good. I think you don't think Thompson was okay?
I don't. No.
I think he was better than anything we had outside of that.
I think he was better than the tackles, but I wouldn't say he was good.
No, but I think he was an upgrade from putting Chester at guard.
Okay.
So, but that's where we were at. So what you replaced, I don't think those were failures. I just think that when it breaks down to it, the tackles we didn't have this year,
and they didn't develop, and those guys were pretty highly thought of. Coming in.
The biggest transfer portal guy that I think you didn't see anything out of was Nick Anderson.
I think what you were hoping for was that, look, Munster Delane had an All-American type season. That you were hoping for that from more than just one. Yeah. I thought A.J. Halsey was an All-Conference type season. DeMarcus Cooley,
serviceable. He's an upgrade from what we had.
Yes. None of it happened at the level that we thought, okay? Yeah. I thought that Barry and Brown and Chris Hilton on the outside would be big play targets, and they weren't. Now, was that because Nussmeier couldn't throw the ball down the field because of the injury early in the season, so they couldn't really stretch you vertically? I think that's part of it. Also, that hurt the running game. People, how many times we do film study? Yeah. I mean, they're crowding up.
They dared people. They basically dared LSU to run the ball.
Yeah. So you just did not have as many of those upper echelon guys that you thought you had, and they spent a lot of money to go out and get them. 499-9898. Ron is in New Iberia. Ron, welcome into the show.
All right, guys. Thanks for taking the call. I have a statement and a question. My statement is I remember years ago when things started going south on Bobby Bowden. And I remember him making a statement about you have to evaluate the people who evaluate the players. And basically that's my statement. My question is that with the transfer portal and how things are these days, you evaluating guys on the fly who's in the portal transferring in 2 or 3 years one other place. How you develop that in a year or two and when they bring in maybe bad habits over to your program or not exactly what you need them to do. How you actually develop that? And that's pretty much my question right there.
Thank you. I think it's hard.
Well, I think this becomes more like the NFL. The NFL has scouts dedicated to recruiting college players. They have scouts dedicated to looking at waiver wires. They have scouts dedicated to looking at preseason film.
They got 250 people working in that building.
Yeah,
they're not lacking for manpower.
Exactly. So they have guys that are recruiting guys they want to draft out of their 5 to 7 to 9 picks. They got guys that are looking at everybody else in the league who might not make it somewhere else. The way that they look at those guys is there's a lot of film and guys that have been developed. The NFL's not necessarily about developing a lot of players. I tell people all the time the worst coaching I got in my life was the NFL because they expect you to know what to do. They game plan and scheme a little bit better. That's more of where their mindset is. It's not about teaching a 16-year-old how to block. But it's something that they're going to have to do. What you want is what Brian Kelly's preached to us. We want to develop through the high school ranks and build through the high school ranks and supplement through the portal.
Sounds good.
Sounds good, but it hasn't worked.
I think you're going to see a significant turnover in the LSU front office. And let me not – people are going to hear me say 250 people, and they're going to think I'm serious. I was exaggerating, but only a little bit. I mean, it's still one of the largest staffs I've ever seen. It's right. I want to say that
there was more staff than players for the first time ever.
There was over 100 staff people. This is coaches. This is analysts. This is recruiting, everything. It's over – I want to say it's right over 100. Or something like that. I don't have the exact number either, but it's a lot, and it's certainly enough to get the job done. Jules is in Abbeville. Jules, welcome into the show.
Hey, well, I guess this is the last show of the season. I wish I could say it was enjoyable football, but it wasn't. Right now, it looks like men's basketball is less embarrassing than football.
They won by 33 tonight. They beat DePaul 96-63.
I watched it. Trades Green, he was highlighted at the beginning of the broadcast as an impact player. What did they throw in the ball? Twice, one of which he dropped. Anybody that has anything to do with the offensive side of the football would be terminated. And y'all touched on this, the passing between the numbers on the field and the sideline at the line of scrimmage 20 times a game for 12 games and never gain a yard. I don't understand it. Somebody's lost their mind. Van Buren should have run that ball in for a touchdown after the Perkins turnover instead of throwing the pick. Later in the game, when we needed a first, he slid about 3 yards short of the first. You're not that important. We needed the first down. And this is a suggestion, Charles, because I miss talking to you so much. The radio station, when we get to the College World Series and we get to the final series, y'all should have a call-in show after those baseball games so the fans can celebrate.
Okay.
So,
take that suggestion. We've certainly done that in the past. I didn't make the trip. It was the first trip I've missed to Omaha in 30 years. This past year, there was some circumstances that just didn't work out. If they go back next year, I certainly plan to be there. So,
Jules, I'm not getting invited for a baseball postgame.
Oh, come on. We'll put you up there. Jules, thank you for the call. No, Van Buren had to put his head down there. It was a poor decision. Those 3 yards are important. I don't need you going in head first against Southeastern, but you got to go in.
We have designed runs for you right now. That's take off and go get the first down.
Right. I agree. 499-9898 is the number. Again, halftime, Alabama leads Auburn 17-6. Alabama hangs on to this lead. They will be in the SEC championship game against Georgia, and Ole Miss will not be. We're watching this pretty close. We'll take a break, come back with more of your phone calls. This is Eagle 98.1 Game Day. Eagle 98.1 Game Day continues. Oklahoma wins it 17-13. Lane Kiffin's meeting at the Chancellor's House in Oxford ended about 2 hours ago, and Auburn is trailing Alabama 17-6 at the half. 499-9898 is the number to call on the Hooters hotline. Carla is in Walker. Carla, welcome into the show.
Hey, guys.
Hey, Carla.
Hey, Carla.
How are you?
Good.
Okay. First, a statement. Y'all do a great job, a really great job.
Thank you.
My question, Hanny and Rich, I know Brad Davis. He is the O-line coordinator, right?
He's offensive line coach, yeah.
Okay. Well, he's a great recruiter.
He's done a good
But
job
he's
recruiting.
He's a poor developer.
I can't argue with that. The results of the offensive line are not just this year; they're over 3 years. You had young players this year. You had transfer players this year. Last year you had veterans, and neither one of these teams could run the football. And
you had 4 guys drafted last year.
4 guys drafted, and so these guys have been highly touted coming and going. They've all been highly recruited, and last year they were drafted. But in the middle, they've underachieved. I'm sorry. He's a nice guy. I know he did a nice job in the interim situation. It was a tough deal. But when one guy is not good, okay, one guy's not good. When 2 guys are not good and they don't pan out, 2 guys are not good. When they're all not good, I'm looking at the coach. I'm no offense to the man, but I'm sorry. It just the results have not been there, and he's going to have to be replaced. 499, Carla, thank you for the call. Easy is in West Virginia. Easy, welcome into the show.
Hey, how you guys doing?
Good.
I just want to say this is a disappointing season or a lost season from what we thought coming into the year. And we just have to realize as fans that this was not a good football team. As for Ben Buren, he played 8 games at Ole Miss and he had his chance at LSU. And I do agree with you. I think he's a backup guy. I don't think it's not that he can't get better, but right now, I think 18 said something about his ball, and when he throws it, he doesn't have touch. It doesn't look catchable sometimes, and it's erratic the way it comes out of his hand. And I have 2 questions. What if this is a huge troll and Lane doesn't come? What does LSU do? And my second question is, what quarterbacks are available to bring in next year? Thanks, guys.
2 tough questions to answer because I don't think this is a troll, and I think this is going to happen. I understand the waiting has been excruciating, and today has not been any fun at all. But I don't think it's a troll. And I think it's a troll. I think the backup plan up until Wednesday was Eli Drinkwitz. He inked a 6-year extension. If this all falls apart at the very last minute, and right now we believe that LSU is still in position to hire Lane Kiffin, and that's going to happen relatively soon. If it went sideways at this point, Rich, I'm going to go back and use that quote that was in Dellinger's piece that we read a minute ago. He's like, well, we will have been duped.
Yeah.
Okay. If that happens, it's going to be a meltdown of epic proportions in this fan base. I get it. Okay. But for the moment, I don't have a rock solid, well, if they turn the plane around right now or the car around or however he's getting down here, they turn that around, then I don't have a good answer to that question.
Do you think the committee has a number 2? Like they have to have a backup plan. Wednesday happened.
Well, I think John Summerall was somebody that they would have talked to. If Kiffin had said from the very beginning, guys, thanks, I'm not interested, I'm staying at Ole Miss, or I'm going to Florida, I think John Summerall is somebody they would have talked to. I think Kenny Dillingham is somebody that they would have talked to. I think Jeff Brom at Louisville is somebody that they would have talked to. Those were after Drinkwitz, those were the next 3 guys that I heard the most often. I can't tell you if they would have hired any of those guys. Would they have gotten far enough down the line to talk to, say, a Kelvin Shepard, or we never thought Joe Brady wanted to coach college football again? Would they have talked to a Cliff Kingsbury, who for a brief minute was mentioned at Florida? I don't know, but those were the next. That was the next group of names.
Well, they've been talking to the next best thing, and that's Jimmy Sexton.
Right. Sexton will connect you to.
He's got backup plans.
Yeah, he'll connect you to 15 coaches in less than an hour. Yeah. So I don't think it's a giant. I don't think it's a giant troll.
Yeah, I've been saying this for 2 weeks. I'd hate to be Lane Kiffin right now. Like, as a player, and I know we talked in pregame about how it's a different day and age, but when you get to this point in the season, there's so much blood, sweat, and tears, and just misery that you went through to get here. If I'm Lane Kiffin, I don't leave. I can't do it. I could not turn my back on this group. I mean, and that's just me speaking, and I try to put myself in his position, and the money's the same. But it's hard to look to next year when you're in the middle of this year. So I get why it's been tough. Like I said, I don't think he's trolling or doing any of that. I think it's a really tough decision for him. I think everything he wants to do is the better programs LSU. I want to be there where there's better talent. But trying to convince yourself to turn your back on this season is what makes it tough.
I don't have a list of names that the transfer portal hasn't opened yet. The season's ending today, so I don't have a ready-made list of quarterbacks. I can tell you
there'll be plenty.
That there will be. I'm gonna throw a number out there. We'll see how close I hit to the center of the dartboard. 68 Power 4 programs, right? 68. I would say that you will have no fewer than 15 starting quarterbacks from power programs that'll be in the transfer portal.
And there might be
12
another
to 15.
There might be another 15 to 20 Trinidad Chambliss coming out of the
group of 6. Another 12 to 15 guys that more than likely you can find. Now, they may not have been starting at the end of the season.
Yeah.
Some of these guys may have been starting.
Got hurt.
And I'll give you a name. Eli Holstein, who's a local product, was starting at Pittsburgh at the beginning of the season, got beat out by the freshman. Okay, he's still got eligibility left. That's just a name. I'm not saying he's coming to LSU or anything, but that's just one. Guys that were starting and no longer are. Haynes King got beat out at multiple places and ended up at Georgia Tech and has had a fantastic year.
Who's the guy Trinidad Chambliss beat out that was supposed to be
Simmons,
the guy?
That's a great name. I don't want him because he's got no touch on the ball, but he was a starting quarterback for a brief period of time and then no longer was. All of these teams whose coaches left, okay, if Chambliss does find some more eligibility with the Pavia rule, if Lane Kiffin leaves, does he want to leave and go with him? North Texas has a fantastic freshman named Drew Mestamaker, who was their starting quarterback this year and threw for about 3,500 yards. Just to throw you a few names, but there'll be plenty. There will be plenty. Jay in Geismar is next on the Hooters Hotline. Jay, welcome into the show.
Hey guys, at one point, do you stop going for the big elite recruit and go find a Halsey or someone like that can play safety, elite, with a little bit of heart to them? I mean, I feel like we've had a lot of guys come through lately with 4 and 5 star aspects, and they don't play up to it. And then you go get Halsey out the portal, and this dude here is playing lights out, balls to the wall.
Well, I hate to tell you, but Halsey was an all Big 12 safety last year at Houston, so I would call him one of the more accomplished players in the things. I know what you're saying. Go find me some more A.J. Halseys. Hey, listen.
Exactly.
No problem. Rich, you remember August, the first practice I went to? I called you right at I like that guy. Yeah. I like that guy. That's about talent evaluation. Yeah. No, he is a ball player. You want more of those guys.
He's a dog.
Yeah. He will hit you. He's good in coverage. I think the guy's going to play in the NFL for a while.
He's a Chad Jones type fella to me.
Chad Jones.
Chad Jones takes that interception for a touchdown.
Chad Jones was a freakish athlete. I can't put him in that. But I'm not disagreeing with you that he's a fantastic player. Like I said, he was the first guy that jumped out to me the first practice I went to in August. So yeah, go find more A.J. Halseys. I'm all for it.
3-star guys.
Well, I don't remember what
Dan Mullen got fired for signing 3-star guys.
Yeah, you got to develop them. Appreciate the call, Jay. He started his career in New Mexico. Is it New Mexico or New Mexico State? it was New Mexico State.
started
Before
his
he went to
career.
Houston, and then he ended up at LSU.
No, look, he's been the highlight of the year. One of my favorite guys to watch. But it's that. Of course, that's what every guy you go pick up, you want them to be. But it's all about fitting in with the scheme, the coaches, the communication, understanding of things, and how you develop with that staff.
In Auburn, Alabama, a 64-yard touchdown pass from Ashton Daniels to Malcolm Simmons has cut Alabama's lead to 17-13.
And now Lane Kiffin has pushed back his decision another hour and a half.
Stopped at a rest area in Macomb. Hurdle is in Gonzales. Hurdle, welcome into the show.
Hey, Charlie, how you doing tonight, buddy?
Oh, doing fine. How are you?
Yeah, doing good. I had a question. I don't know if y'all covered it earlier, but hey, Lane says no. Who's number 2? Who do you go after?
Again, we don't have a great answer to that. We just went through the a list of guys that they had on the list before. Would you make another run at a Kenny Dillingham? Would you make another run at a Jeff Brom? Would you try to get into what is increasingly becoming the John Summerall sweepstakes? Would you? I'm trying to think of another name. Some of these names that Alex Golesh, okay, has not said that he's definitely going to Arkansas yet. Is that somebody that you would talk to?
Yep.
Morris has taken the Oklahoma State job, so he's off the table. I'll give you a name that just sitting out there. That this guy was a really good coach at Northwestern for a long time. It's Pat Fitzgerald, who's been cleared of everything and is just kind of sitting out there. Wouldn't be shocked if he ended up at Penn State. But I don't think you got to start over. I think they vetted a lot of people at the beginning, and this was just the guy they wanted. Yeah.
Charlie, I had a question. How long do you give it? Like, what's the time frame here? Like, is it next week? Is it the week after? Like, what? Like, how does this play out?
You announce you're moving on from the Kiffin search tomorrow. If it's not done, I just don't know how you keep stretching that out.
I think if Auburn comes back and wins this game and they say he wants to coach the SEC championship game next week, but they're going to announce him as a coach, I think you can wait another week, to get you. But you got to announce it, and you say, okay, he's going to coach the team, and then he's coming back.
I'm okay if he coaches the dang playoffs. Like, it's just announcing.
I don't think Ole Miss is okay if he coaches a playoff.
But you saw Herb Street, you saw Saban beg for it. As a former player, as a guy that understands what it means to finish a season, like I'm perfectly, like I would love for that to happen. Hey, he's coming here. I get Ole Miss's side because with the recruiting and everything else.
You want to coach the playoffs? Coach the playoffs. Come back and coach next year. We don't want you to leave, but you can't play both ends against them. That's what Ole Miss is telling him right now. That's just my guess. Okay, what came out of that meeting is. Go ahead.
One last comment. Go River Rebels.
River Rebel.
I missed what he said, but no, I think what they're saying is, look, we're not going to allow you to do that.
I think they said that about the Egg Bowl last week.
And I think if he really wants this that bad, and he tells them, listen, I'm the coach here. I got a contract to coach here. I'm going to show up next week to coach. If you don't want me to coach, you have to fire me.
Yeah.
And if you have to fire me, you have to pay me $36 million. And they're saying, look, man, do you really want to do this? Because we'll go. I would imagine that there would be lawsuits right after that. It would be like, listen, you're trying to take another job. You have agreed in principle to another job. There's a memorandum of understanding somewhere, I think. Okay. So, well, you signed something with LSU and you still want to coach us. Now, is it a contract that he signed? Is it a memorandum of understanding? I'm not a lawyer, okay? I know that there's some
I would like to know
binding.
where the buyout's tied into, the regular season or postseason. Like, I'm sure there's a date on how the contract, you're paid this much through the NFL. Your contract is paid over when I played 17 weeks.
Yeah.
Nothing, playoffs don't mean anything to do with your contract. That's bonus money. So does the $36 million end after the Egg Bowl? You've gone through
I would think probably not, but I don't know that for sure.
I don't know how that plays out.
They sat there for 3 hours and 45 minutes and talked about something. So it's, hey, we want you to stay here. Okay, I don't want to stay here full time. I just want to stay here until the playoffs are over. We're not going to let you coach the playoffs. Well, then you have to fire me. Well, no, according to this contract, we don't actually have to fire you. This is a violation of your contract if you come to even a verbal agreement. If you come to a verbal agreement with LSU to leave us, then you have violated your contract, and we can fire you for cause. And I don't know where I get Jimmy Sexton on the phone. Okay, here's my lawyer. Jimmy says you can't fire me. Well, we're on the phone with our lawyer, whoever that is. He says we can fire you. They might have been arguing about that for 3 hours and 45 minutes for all I know.
My biggest fear is that, yes, he wants to coach that game, and they're arguing it, and they're saying there's nothing he can do about it. You're going to have to let me do it. And then LSU says, okay, we'll wait it out. That's what scares me. I don't really give a damn what happens going forward, but I think LSU has to make a decision tomorrow evening. Either we're announcing you as a coach or we're going forward the rest of the week.
All right, we are brought to you by Supreme Rice and SupremeRice.com, covering you for the holidays: the brown, the long grain, the medium grain, the jasmine, the parboiled rice, the low glycemic rice for diabetics. Support our Louisiana farmers. Since the 1930s, down in Southwest Louisiana, all of our Supreme Rice grown, milled, and processed in Southwest Louisiana. You're going to get more for your food dollar, and you're going to be supporting our Louisiana farmers as part of the Climate Smart program, talking about reducing methane emissions and water conservation. Supreme Rice goes perfect with your red beans, your white beans, your stews, your jambalayas, your gumbos, your etouffees. Pick up a bag wherever you buy rice, all your AG food stores, your Rouses, your Walmarts, etc. For more information and great recipes, go to SupremeRice.com. Alabama with the football back in Auburn territory. We are 3 minutes and change into the third quarter, and the Tide leads Auburn 17-13. This is Eagle 98.1 Game Day.
98.1 Game Day. Stat Check. Presented by Luba Workers Comp. Luba Workers Comp. Delivering genuine dependability.
Alabama knocking on the door outside the 10-yard line with 8:40 to go in the third quarter. Tide holds a 17-13 lead. All right, Oklahoma, 14 first downs, LSU 9 first downs. Total yards, 393 for Oklahoma, 198 for LSU. 318 through the air for Oklahoma, 198 through the air for LSU. Rushing yards, 75 for the Sooners, 85 for the Tigers. Penalties, 4 for 25 for LSU, 8 for 60 for Oklahoma. 3 turnovers for Oklahoma, all interceptions, 1 for LSU. Slight edge in time of possession for Oklahoma, 30-41 to 29-19. LSU was just 2 of 14 on third down conversions, and they missed on their only fourth down. Oklahoma was only 4 of 15 on third down, 0 for 1 on fourth down conversions. Individually, Michael Van Buren, 14 of 25, 96 yards, a touchdown and interception, 3.8 yards per attempt. Xavier Thomas threw one for 17 yards on the double pass that boosted it up to 4.3 yards per attempt for LSU passers tonight. Mateer, 23 of 38, 318 yards, 2 touchdowns with 3 interceptions. Caden Durham, 6 carries for 42 yards. Van Buren, 5 for 33. Harlem Berry, 14 carries, but for only 23 yards tonight. Torrey Blaylock, 11 for 42 for Oklahoma, and Mateer carried it 8 times for 27 yards. Xavier Thomas, 3 catches for 30 yards. Trey'Dez Green also had 30 yards on his only catch for Oklahoma. Isaiah Satenga, 9 catches, 121 yards, and a touchdown, and 2 parents who were on the track team at LSU. Deion Burks, 4 catches for 61 yards and a touchdown, and Giovanni Gibson, 3 for 66. Kendall Daniels led Oklahoma with 7 total tackles. Owen Heineke also had 7, but 1 fewer solo. Devon Keys with 8 tackles, including 5 solos and a tackle for loss tonight for LSU. Tigers had 6 tackles for loss, but no sacks. Oklahoma, who came in leading the nation in sacks, did not have one tonight. They did have 5 tackles for loss. They also lead the nation in that category. 3 interceptions for LSU were Harold Perkins, A.J. Halsey, and D.J. Pickett. Peyton Bowen had the one for Oklahoma. Damian Ramos made both of his field goals, and Tate Sandell, who needs a pair of pants, made his only field goal tonight. Grant Chadwick punted 9 times for a 45.2-yard average. Only one inside the 20, though. Grayson Miller, 7 punts for a 43-yard average, and 2 of those inside the 20, and that is your stat check. We'll come back as Alabama has kicked a field goal and made it a 20-13 ball game halfway through the third quarter. Full scoreboard is next. Eagle 98.1 Game Day.
Eagle 98.1 Game Day. The Robinson Brothers Ford Lincoln College Football Scoreboard. Robinson Brothers Ford Lincoln on airline under the giant American flag.
We start at the Iron Bowl, where Alabama leads 20-13 with 7 minutes to go in the third quarter, and Auburn with the football. This yardstick, which was dominated by Alabama early, has evened up. Each of these teams has 203 yards. That's about as close as it gets, so we'll keep you up to date on what's going on there. Elsewhere, games in progress. Number 18, Virginia putting the finishing touches on a 27-7 win over Virginia Tech. Cavaliers going to get in the ACC championship game, and let me skip ahead here a little bit down the scoreboard, because Cal leads number 21 SMU 24-7. If Cal holds on to that, you're going to have a 5-way tie for second place. And who goes to the ACC championship game, I don't know. And since I've been following Lane Kiffin all day, I don't really have time to go do the tiebreakers, but it's jumbled up if Cal holds on to that lead. Michigan State leads Maryland 31-28 halfway through the fourth quarter. Number 17 USC leads UCLA 14-10 early in the fourth quarter. Number 24 Tulane leads Charlotte 24-0 early in the fourth quarter. Wave wins are into the American Championship game, and it's going to be a busy Sunday for John Summerall. Illinois leads Northwestern 17-13. These are all fourth quarter scores. NC State leads North Carolina 35-13. Second quarter, UNLV leads Nevada 21-3. Games getting ready to start. Number 9 Notre Dame is at Stanford. That will get underway here at 9:30, along with Fresno State, San Jose State, and at 10 o'clock, Wyoming's on the island to play Hawaii. 10 o'clock kickoff there. Earlier finals today. Number 1 Ohio State finished their season 12-0 with a 27-9 win over number 15 Michigan. Julian Sand threw 3 touchdown passes for the Buckeyes. It's 12-0 against 12-0 Ohio State and Indiana in the Big Ten championship game. Number 5 Texas Tech punched their ticket to the Big 12 championship game in Arlington. They blanked West Virginia 49-0. Baron Morton threw 3 touchdown passes and for 310 yards for the Red Raiders. Number 6 Oregon finishes 11-1. They beat Washington 26-14. Dante Moore threw for 286 and a score. Number 11 BYU headed to Arlington to play Texas Tech in the rematch. Cougars beat UCF 41-21. Texas Tech won the first game between these two easily. Number 12 Miami beat number 22 Pitt 38-7. Carson Beck threw 3 touchdown passes for the Canes, who are one of those teams in that big log jam if SMU loses. Number 14 Vanderbilt, very impressive today. They beat number 19 Tennessee in Knoxville 45-24, and I'm really not sure it was even that close. Another huge day for Diego Pavia, who ran for 165 yards and a touchdown and threw for 268 yards and a touchdown. He did throw 2 interceptions in the game, but Vandy rolls to the first 10-win season in school history. Number nothing. They're not ranked. Louisville beat Kentucky 41-0. Miller Moss, remember him? Used to be the starting quarterback for USC when LSU played him in Vegas last year. Yeah, threw 3 touchdown passes for Louisville today. They finish at 8-4. Clemson beat South Carolina 28-14. South Carolina started the season in the top 15. They finished 4-8. Clemson started the season in the top 5. They finished 7-5. Houston beats Baylor 31-24. Cougs finished at 9-3. Baylor, Dave Aranda will be back for another season. Kansas State beat Colorado 24-14. It was Iowa State over Oklahoma State 20-13. Cowboys finished 0-9 in the Big 12 for the second straight year, 1-11 overall. East Carolina beat Florida Atlantic 42-3. Toledo over Central Michigan 21-3. Miami of Ohio beat Ball State 45-24. Delaware put 61 on UTEP, 61-31 the final there. Florida International beat Sam Houston 56-16. Georgia Southern over Marshall 24-19. Jacksonville State over Western Kentucky 37-34. La Tech finishes 7-5. They beat Missouri State 42-14. 30. Old Dominion beat Georgia State 27-10. It was Arkansas State over App State 30-29. They get bowl eligible with that win. Boston College beat Syracuse 34-12. It was Middle Tennessee over New Mexico State 31-24. That was in overtime. Also in overtime, UL Lafayette beat UL Monroe 30-27. Texas State beat South Alabama 49-26. They get bowl eligible. UAB beat Tulsa 31-24. Missouri over Arkansas 31-17. Hogs finish at 2-10. 0-8 in the Southeastern Conference. Played two quarterbacks today. Bobby Petrino did not record a win as the interim coach. Minnesota beat Wisconsin 17-7. It was Penn State over Rutgers 40-36. Nittany Lions end up 6-6 in a season when they were a preseason top 2. Duke beat Wake Forest 49-32. TCU over Cincinnati 45-23. Kennesaw State beat Liberty 48-42. That was in double overtime. Troy beat Southern Miss 28-18. Army over Texas San Antonio 27-24. Coastal Carolina James Madison beat Coastal Carolina 59-10. They finish 11-1. Florida beat Florida State 40-21. Florida started the season in the top 20. They finished 4-8. Fire the coach. Florida State opens the season with the win over Alabama. They finished 5-7. Neither one of these teams going to a bowl. Washington State beat Oregon State 32-8. The rare in-season rematch. These teams played 3 weeks ago, and Oregon State won that game 10-7. Washington State gets the revenge today, 32-8. And South Florida beat Rice 52-3. And that is your D1 college football scoreboard. But we got a couple other scores that we want to pass along to you down at the Bayou Classic. Southern edged Grambling 28-27. That is the second win of the season for the Jags, who will welcome next week, we understand, Marshall Faulk, the NFL Hall of Famer, as their new head coach. And there's one more I wanted to get to you. This was Southeastern lost today. Illinois State knocked them out of the playoffs in the FCS playoffs, 21-3 down in Hammond. And that is your college football scoreboard. Game balls are next. Eagle 98.1 Game Day.
Eagle 98.1 Game Day, presented by Super Chevy in Yingling. Game balls.
All right, game balls. I'm going to give it to the entire defense.
The whole defense.
They gave up 393 yards. Do you feel like they gave up 300? Did it feel like they gave up 393 yards?
Absolutely not. I
no.
feel like they
14 first downs, which is a perfectly acceptable number. You caused 3 turnovers. You kept LSU in the game today.
You played winning defense today.
Yes, you did. You did enough on the road.
Yeah.
You did enough to do that. So the whole defense. And nobody on offense.
Absolutely not.
Yeah, okay. That's where I'm at, too. We got one more break to take, and when we come back, we're going to give you our final update on everything we know at this point in regards to Lane Kiffin. And all we can tell you is all that we know. We're going to do that when we return and wrap things up here. The Iron Bowl is coming down at the end of the third quarter, about 3.5 minutes to go in the third quarter, and Alabama still holds a 20-13 lead. This is Eagle 98.1 Game Day. Eagle 98.1 Game Day wrapping up here, and the Iron Bowl ticking down in the end of the third quarter. Just over a minute to go. Alabama leads 20-13. Auburn is on a drive. They are now inside the tied 30-yard line. Let's bring in Matt Moscona now. He's been monitoring everything while we've been doing this show. Matt, good evening. How are you?
Kiffin Watch Day 3076. I don't even know what day of the week it is.
And Auburn has just thrown an interception. Alabama taking the ball back near midfield as we keep you up to date on the Iron Bowl. What's
Ocean
that?
Springs boy.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
High school basketball coach's son just got that interception.
Matt, we started this day thinking that we would get a decision from Lane Kiffin. That's what Keith Carter had requested. That's what they had put out at Ole Miss. As the day went on, it became more apparent that the meeting between Carter and Kiffin was going to be pushed back a little bit into the afternoon. A&M's loss last night put the SEC championship game back in play for Ole Miss, and his desire to coach in that game and or the playoffs probably at the heart of this meeting with the Ole Miss chancellor and athletic director. That meeting lasted nearly 4 hours, wrapped up just before 7 o'clock tonight. So I'm going to let you pick it up from there and tell us what you know.
Yeah, so that meeting actually got bumped several times. It was initially thought there that Lane Kiffin and Keith Carter would meet this morning. Then it was shortly around noon. And I think that was Lane Kiffin lobbying to wait for the result of the Iron Bowl to see if, in fact, Ole Miss was going to be in the SEC championship. The 4-hour meeting went, as you said. There's been no indication specifically what came of that, but as I'm told, I don't think that Lane Kiffin's decision has changed any. I believe Lane Kiffin is going to be the LSU coach and might have gone so far in this meeting as to express that to the Ole Miss chancellor and athletic director. This meeting, as I understand, was trying to figure out a path forward whereby if, in fact, Ole Miss made the SEC championship, if Lane Kiffin could coach in that SEC championship game, how they would position it, how it would work functionally with LSU if you were to take the job. Hypothetically, there could be a situation where Ole Miss releases a statement that Lane Kiffin is leaving, but just like a week ago, there was a statement from Keith Carter. They could release a statement where he's leaving, but would coach in the SEC championship game. I know Lane Kiffin has lobbied hard for the opportunity to coach in the college football playoff. My understanding from the Ole Miss side, they're hard and fast. They do not want him to do that. But as I understand today, there were also some players that might have lobbied on Lane's behalf to the administration, which might have caused some further thinking and discussion there. So I think all of that is why that meeting lasted as long as it did. What was initially thought, I was told, was going to be a very quick meeting starting 3 o'clock, ended up being a 4-hour meeting. But the thing that I would say I'm most confident in saying is that nothing has changed from the LSU perspective. I don't think there's cold feet from Lane Kiffin. I do think he's going to be the LSU coach. It's just a matter now of how they functionally make that transition with whatever his role will remain at Ole Miss for a week to whatever it may be.
Do you feel like one way or the other tomorrow there will be an announcement made? Whether that
I thought there was going to be an announcement today.
Well, sure, we all did. We were promised that he is going to be the LSU coach, but there is either an SEC championship game and or a playoff. The playoff thing has kind of re-entered the picture here a little bit because they were pretty adamant that wasn't going to happen, and now that maybe has changed a little bit. Is this palatable to LSU that they say, okay, you can coach next Saturday if Auburn stakes a comeback here, or even that you could coach in the playoff, but you are going to get out in front of a camera, in front of a microphone, and you are going to say, I'm going to be the LSU coach, and there's going to be a signed piece of paper somewhere, so you can't back out of this. Is that fair?
I think LSU, from the beginning of this, it's my understanding that LSU made it clear to Lane Kiffin that they were willing to wait, that they would be fine with him coaching Ole Miss in the playoff. And at this point, LSU doesn't have any leverage. They can't make any type of demand to Lane Kiffin or put any timeline on Lane Kiffin because they don't have another option. Other jobs have been filled. The coaching candidate pool is thinned out. I fully expect John Summerall tomorrow is going to be named the head coach at the University of Florida. Clark Lee has agreed to an extension. Eli Drinkwitz has agreed to an extension at Missouri. It's not like they have their plan B ready to go. So LSU just has to operate under Lane Kiffin's timeline. This is the result of making Lane Kiffin your number one primary and only all-in target. So I think LSU is willing to be as patient as they need to be so as not to force Lane Kiffin out of their arms and back toward Ole Miss. So what I don't mind saying is I believe LSU was anticipating sending a plane on Sunday to Oxford to pick up Lane Kiffin. Now I think it remains to be seen if that will happen based on when they want to make this announcement.
Matt, does Ole Miss have any leverage? I mean, I felt like Ole Miss wanted the answer last week. He was able to coach the Egg Bowl. They go to an SEC championship. I mean, what's the only thing they can do to him? If he wants to coach the playoffs and Ole Miss is saying that they don't, what do? They have to fire him? Do they have to give him the $36 million buyout?
Right. So if they were to fire him, they would owe him a $36 million buyout, which they're not going to do. But as I was told, that contractually within the language, they could, for example, suspend him with pay or put him on leave with pay. So that Keith Carter does have contractual recourse, but just like anybody's boss could, right? I mean, your boss you could say, well, you're not working today. So Ole Miss has that recourse where they could tell him you're not coaching the team contractually. And at that point, Lane Kiffin would likely leave as the LSU coach, should be introduced and would be the LSU coach. But yes, they do have, as I understand it, Ole Miss feels like they have contractual recourse to prevent Lane Kiffin from coaching if they don't want him to.
We believe that there is a memorandum of understanding between LSU and Lane Kiffin.
I haven't confirmed that. And it is important to note that an MOU is non-binding. It's really just a term sheet. But my firmly held belief is that last Friday, when Lane Kiffin had his meeting with Keith Carter, when LSU, the board, met to discuss what was publicly termed the Brian Kelly buyout, they went into executive session behind closed doors. I believe there they also discussed the terms of Lane Kiffin's offer, which later that Friday was leaked to Ross Dellinger. I believe that they have had, at minimum, a verbal agreement in place with Lane Kiffin since at least that Friday, yes.
Would that, and none of us are lawyers, but would that potentially give Ole Miss an out? Is that a breach of his contract with Ole Miss that they could fire him for cause if he has signed an MOU with another school?
And now you're asking me questions I don't know.
Yeah, well, I don't know either. I thought I'd ask. That's what I do when I don't know something. I ask somebody else.
Well, maybe we could get an attorney who may have a better sense of that than I do.
Yeah.
I know that LSU, there's a reason LSU had a tremendous amount of confidence a week ago and through this week about Lane Kiffin being their coach. But it is important to note that I would say 2.5 weeks ago, Florida felt the same confidence. And then LSU entered the picture and wrestled Lane away from Gainesville. I mean, I heard Richard mention it earlier. You know, in 2016, we're all watching LSU play Texas A&M on that Thanksgiving, and it's on the crawl where Tom Herman's going to be the LSU coach, and then 36 hours later, Ed Ogeron's at a podium. So the thing that I always caution people is that these are never done until you have a binding agreement signed and a coach is at a podium, and even still sometimes then it's not done. When we saw Pat Murphy and Billy Donovan are great examples of that, of coaches who were introduced at their new place and then ultimately backed out and went back to the place where they were. So until Lane Kiffin is signed on the dotted line, it's not formally done. But I believe he has given every indication to LSU, even today, that he still plans to be the LSU coach.
Another, Bobby Cremins did the same thing, went to and changed another. Dana Altman, a basketball coach who was at Creighton and went to Arkansas, and then it actually did the press conference and then left. I'm going to wrap up the show here and go do something that I don't usually do, which is root for Alabama, just so we can have some. I think it'll make it easier to resolve all this in a timely manner if they just go ahead and win this game, which they've just started the fourth quarter now, but it's still a one-score game. And we'll pick up with this. We've been saying this for the better part of a month on the midday show, Matt. You get the whole Lane Kiffin experience. Okay,
that is true.
You get the great play caller, you get the troller, you get a little bit of drama with it. You get the social media, you get the hot yoga classes, you get the whole thing, the whole package with him. So appreciate you jumping on with us at this time of night, and we'll do Football Sunday tomorrow from 10 until noon and see if
maybe you'll get an announcement.
Maybe we'll know a little bit more at that point.
I'll be tracking flights when you're doing Football Sunday, so I will keep you abreast to anything I find.
Keep your phone on. Thanks a lot, Matt. We appreciate it.
All right, guys.
Yeah, and thanks to everybody for participating. And all season long, obviously there'll be a bowl game at some point, so we'll get to that in due time. In the meantime, that's it. For For Richard Dixon, for Michael and Jordan here in the studio, I'm Charles Hanniger saying thank you and good evening. LSU wraps up the regular season with a 17-13 loss to Oklahoma and finishes the year at 7-5. This has been Eagle 98.1 Game Day.